Hello and welcome. Since this month has pretty much been all about Inktober, I thought that it might be a good idea to get back to the Viviva products that we barely touched, barely played with. These here are the postcards. I put them in the package with the color sheets. And the only postcard we did on these is the very first one, which is not in here because I brought them with me on a trip and they're still packed in that package I brought with me on the trip. But maybe we could play with a postcard or 3 or 4 and the color sheets. Plus, we also have these watercolor pans, and the only thing we really did with these was try them out on the watercolor swatch sheet that came with the pan set. And so we didn't really get to see, we did that first postcard with these, but we didn't really get to see the true potential of these watercolor pans. So I thought it would be really fun to pull out our Etcher sketchbook and maybe do a little pumpkin. And I know it's October, pumpkins are probably overdone, but guys, they're so fun to paint. We're going to pull out a pumpkin and paint it. All right, here is that first watercolor postcard we did, and I had this just in this flat package here, and I brought it on the trip with me because I was going to do my Inktober sketches. Yeah, that's upside down, on this Strathmore paper, and then, you know, the whole story. If you missed that story, I'll link that up there. But since that was in that flat package, look how flat the postcard has become. If you compare that to the first video, it's nice and flat. So if you want to send these out to somebody, I would say paint them ahead of time and then put them in something that's going to kind of flatten them for a while, because I would be very happy sending this now. So this is using the pan set of the Viva Watercolors. It's quite nice. We will go ahead and try these now in our Etcher. I considered, because the Strathmore watercolor paper here is not going to be used, I thought maybe I could try these on this first little painting, kind of give it a test run, and then try the pumpkin and Etcher, but that might be a lot for one day. See what I feel like in a minute. I have probably put too much on the plate for today, but I'm kind of excited about it, so we're gonna do it anyway. All right, so this brush was already out on my desk. It's a Princeton Select Round 5, and used it in a previous video that I already don't remember what, but there it is. So we'll see how that goes. There are these color sheets we received, and this is a suit of armor, and you would think that maybe a gray would be a really good idea for that. We don't have a gray, but we do have this light blue. I think I can do something with that. And then at the back of this is this little fold out sheet where they have covered it with some kind of plastic. You can see that wrinkling there. So some kind of plastic, so you can use it as a mixing palette. So we're going to use that as is without getting our own mixing palette out. I didn't do any swatches for these color sheets, so we are going to use them as they are shown on here and see what we think. I'm thinking if I mix this blue with a little bit of whatever that is, what is that, earth brown, maybe we can get some kind of cool color. Earth brown. Just a little bit of that. Nope. So whatever that earth brown is, it has a lot of yellow in it, and it made a green. We are not going to do that. So we will use the pastel blue on its own and just dilute it. Wow, that is so strong. Dilute it a lot, so you can see that I can't quite keep the color sheet open on its own. I'll have to kind of hold that while I do the painting over here. I have some drops of that paint that got down on my desk over there, and it's very staining. This is a really cute illustration. This is by the artist. I did show all these to you, Derek. Here is the info if you want to pause and look at his artwork. Okay, so now we have a mouse, and a mouse cannot be gray because we don't have a gray, and I'm kind of too lazy to make a gray, and we're stained again. Which one of you was it that said, let's make a drinking game every time we dip our hands into the paint? Yeah, that would be dangerous. Dangerous. So we are going to have a brown mouse. Let's try this tree bark brown. Ew, that's very green. I don't think I want a mouse that green. So tell me, does this color match that? Because that's what it's supposed to be. Looks pretty green to me. Or I don't think so. So let's try this earth brown without mixing it with the light blue. Ah, it's still green. Okay, forget that. Let's try the fire. The fire is supposed to be that color. Wow, okay, this isn't working. How do we just get a brown? Well, let's try some of these. This first one, nope, it's crimson, so that's not gonna work. Right? Nope, it is literally crimson. Let's try the autumn leaf. Autumn leaf is supposed to be this one. Wow, that's not very brown. So let's mix that with this dark one, which is brick red. It could be dangerous. Okay, well, we're gonna pull in that other color there, which is not very much, and have a very reddish mouse, which it'll be all right. So I don't think their swatches are matching very well. I kind of thought they would, but I was wrong. Well, I think my biggest frustration is the swatches do not match the colors at all. I am very stained. Wow, more stained than I even thought. I'm gonna go wash before I do the next thing. And take my paper towel and kind of wipe this up so that I can just fold it up and put it away. Otherwise you could wait for that to dry and it would kind of give you some colors to work with later, but yeah. You will need to swatch these if you're going to use them because they don't match this at all. Otherwise, they're fun. They're very bright, super highly bright. I don't want to say pigmented. I think that's really kind of overused on YouTube, but you know, they're bright. So play with them, swatch them, make sure you're getting the right colors. I think you'll have fun. They're not light fast, so don't stick these in the window, but super fun, easy thing to use to send somebody a postcard. All right, let's get on to the next thing. Okay, so I just couldn't help myself. This is the Inktober sketches that I sketched onto the Strathmore 500 paper, but ended up not using when my official Inktober sketchbook showed up in the mail. But I thought it would be fun to try out this paper with, like I already told you guys in the beginning of the video, with their watercolor pans. So this has a mixing surface here. The pans remind me very much of Superior Fan watercolors. I'm gonna tuck that under that edge so it stays down. So I still have this one we just used, and this one was also out on my desk from the last video or whatever. It is a Princeton 3/4 inch flat wash brush, which I probably could use for the background, probably will. I just need to be careful because I want to do a glow around the crystal to show that it's glowing. Well, my previous memories of this paper did not disappoint. This paper is just difficult. I still don't like it. I've given it several chances. It just feels and acts like a cellulose paper, and it kind of fought me, not on the background. I did okay on the background. The paint was thick enough, and this paint is vivid enough that that helps a lot as well. But when I was doing the cat body, it just fought me. So I totally forgot to tell you before I painted this background, which was just a minute ago, I did go wash my hands with Hizoot soap. Hizoot being Dawn, which is supposed to be like the king or queen of dish soaps. And scrub, scrub, scrub. And I'm still very stained. So this is very staining watercolor. Let's continue on this. I have this dilemma because in my head, for some reason, I think of him as a black and white cat, but then at the same time, I also want him to be one of those like orange cats with black stripes. And I think that he would probably be more interesting being an orange cat with black stripes. This is hard, and I have to make a decision because that is going to be him, hold on, in all of my Inktober sketches. So what's it gonna be? I don't know. I'm gonna put off that decision. And this was still on my desk from the last video where I used this Sketchbox water-based black ink because I want to do his hat. However, I do need to make sure that yellow glow is on his hat where the crystal is shining on it. So let me do that real quick. Whew. Anyone else nervous? There there's just something really satisfying about using one of these little brush marker things. I don't have a lot of ink on this. It's kind of see-through. I don't know. Let me see if you can tell that on the camera. Yep. The light glare there actually works to the advantage this time because you can actually see how see-through that is. So I can probably go over that several times, or I can be brave and take another piece of paper and squeeze some more ink out of this. There you can kind of see. I went over it a few times and it is definitely more opaque doing that. So maybe I'll do that. Okay, should be good. Now we have to decide on the color of the cat, so I can't put that off any longer. I think I'm going to make him the orange with black stripes. Okay, one thing. In the last video, I told you guys how that sketchbox brush marker was water soluble. So right here, anywhere I touched the Viva paint to where that brush marker is, it did bleed into it. So you can see that here and here. So beware of that. And then let's go ahead and put some yellow glow in here. It was at this point that I wanted to give the cat a shadow, not a shadow exactly, but he's in a dark place, dark outside, a dark cave, a dark room, something like that. Anyway, you can kind of see what he looks like here, and he kind of just turned out dirty looking. And I think part of the fault of that is the paper. So we'll have to see when we try it on different paper. I'm going to have to experiment with him and his stripes. And you could see there very briefly a second ago, I tried a stripe with a micron. It was just way too strong. So I got out that permanent light black. That was the brush marker in the previous video, and it worked really well. His stripes were really subtle and whatnot. However, when I finished his stripes all up, I didn't like them. He's too busy, and we're going to have to figure out something different. But there he is for now. So we're moving right into the Etcher sketchbook, and I sketched the pumpkin I was telling you guys about onto the paper, masked off some of the highlight areas, and just go right in with the paint. And the Etcher sketchbook does not disappoint. If you guys are looking for a watercolor sketchbook, stop looking and go buy the Etcher ones. These aren't even the perfect sketchbooks. They're just their everyday 105-pound sketchbooks. They're 100% cotton. They're really, really enjoyable to work on. They're my first choice, basically. Anytime I want to paint something and it's a sketchbook kind of thing, I'm like, Etcher. So anyway, you can tell the paint is extraordinarily vibrant. And it's actually very hard to get a light version of the paint. So you have to use a ton of water to lighten this paint. It is so incredibly vibrant. However, I like vibrant paint. So I think I'll probably get a lot of good use out of them in my sketchbooks. I will have to see how the light fast test goes. I'm almost positive these are like dye-based paints and all of that. So they're not going to stand up to any kind of sunlight. But they're fun to use, and I really think that anyone could get a lot of joy out of using them, so I'm going to keep them. They'll go with the rest of my mini watercolors in my collection that I don't get to use nearly often enough, but want to. Well, anyway, after pulling off masking fluid, you do need to soften it, so that's what you see me doing here, and you can kind of get the full effect here now that I'm all done, and signing my name and putting what kind of watercolors these were on it, and wow. Yes, it is that vibrant in person too. All right, look at all the fun stuff we did all in one video. That was really interesting. So on these Viviva watercolor sheets, I will need to do the swatches where they've left you room for doing that. And this is kind of like a watercolor paper they have this on. So that way I'll be able to see their true colors instead of the colors that are, in my opinion, misrepresented a little bit on these swatches here. So I'll be doing that. I'm not going to worry about doing a light fast test with the color sheets. They're just not something that I feel you should use if you're doing professional work anyway, so we're not going to bother with that. These are probably the same, well, what do you call it, formula or whatever, but we will go ahead and do a light fast test on these. So I'll probably just do that off camera sometime or whatever, show it to you on my Instagram when I get those light fast swatches done and in the window, and they'll be dated. We do have a lot of light fast testing results coming up on this channel next month and the month after that, so November and December, so make sure you're subscribed down below if you don't want to miss any of that. One very important thing is I will be going back to a twice a week video schedule, and I'm very excited for that. I have missed you guys terribly on Tuesdays, so we will be back to the Tuesday, Friday schedule. Cannot wait. So I will see you guys in the next video on Tuesday. Take care. Bye for now. If you compare that, where to go?